friends. Come, little children, the time's come to play here in my garden of
Hello, I'm Runya, aka Media Adaptation, and welcome back to Moderation while me is for a game. And it's time once again to talk about the supposedly lost 80s style anime, Go for a Punch, aka Saki Sanobashi. And in these videos, we cover any new developments on the Reddit and Discord servers, then finish up by talking about older anime as well as manga. And over on the Discord, we have been once again given permission to post the link to it. So I'm guessing they finally weeded out all the trolls. Or at least one could hope. So if you'd like to check that out, then we'll try and put the link down back in the description below. And since we were asked about the recreation project last week, and if it's still being worked on, yes, Team Saki is still working on the project. They even posted a few storyboards of their work up on the Discord. So again, yes, the project is still very much active. We've also had a user generate a bunch of different combinations of Japanese words to help people check out foreign sites, which could have been useful, well, a long time ago when we first started. So if you'd like to see that list, then please check out the page, if you'd like to learn more. Or we could probably also add it to our description if people are interested. And as for the images this week, we have learned that this one was from the game called The Coma, which is up on Steam, as we thought last time. And one of the fan arts was done by Mizariel. No word on the other one as of yet. We also got this one from the anime Another, which I've actually never watched, but even I know about the umbrella scene. There's also this one, which also looks like another fan art. You can tell from the fake film green effect. Then we have this one, which is from 1998's Ninja Resurrection, which we've kind of steered clear from, since ninjas and anyone from the Edo period really seems to have the least connection to Saki. But if you guys want us to start looking at them, we could always give them a try. Then there's also this manga image, which turns out to be from Shokujin Kochu. It had a lot of promise, but it turned out to be about a parasitic infection. So, no luck there. So now it's time to turn over to the Reddit side of things, and once again, it's just a sea of memes, with only a single person trying to take this seriously. I really do feel sorry for you, Milla. So let's turn over to the other Reddit, which again we have a post from Acid Trippin', talking about Hollywood videos, and how they stocked a lot of 80s era violent anime, even citing the link of customers complaining that it wasn't for kids. To which I say, nah shit. There's also another post wondering about the possibilities that the subtitles that the OP claimed to have seen with it might have been generated by a program, which is within the realm of possibilities. While the anime itself is very old, the video was supposedly seen around the same time as those programs were being used. They also go on to point out that it's been around 40 years, so it's unknown if the team behind it is still alive, or if they move on to other projects. But that's about all the news that we have for this week. So it's finally time to do what we said we'd do last week, and cover Inji Kiyoshi, aka Angel of Darkness. And I swear this thing had an English dub, but I probably could just be confusing that with a number of different similar titles from the time. But anyway, this is a 4-movie series, or OVAs, and the first deals with a man, Professor Goda, who goes to a construction site and digs at the base of an old tree, unleashing a being known as the Dark Element, aka a mass of red tentacles, which then takes over his body. Then we meet our two leads, Sayaka and Etsuko, a pair of lovers since high school, now on their way to college. Which of course is where Goda's working, and is trying to create a seed of darkness off of the essence of young women. And it's never explained why the director is willing to do this, or what she gets out of it. But she is doing this out of her own free will. Maybe she's just into the kinky stuff. Later he gets attacked by a fairy, so he turns his arm into a tentacle, which it easily dodges. So then he goes oral and knocks it away with a shaft.
Did you have to say it like that?
Yes. Yes, I do. After a while, our girls find out what's going on, and they try to run for it. She tries to save her friend by distracting it, so she can go get help from her sister. But that doesn't go over so well. Asuko then meets the being from earlier, named Ram, and we get a little backstory about the element, as he's a counterpoint of creation, and is fueled by the negative forces within the world, and has grown a fondness for the carnal desires, allowing him to almost infinitely regenerate. So they're forced to seal him away. And speaking of him, he's going to use the sister as a host for the new seed, and then siphon some of its energy to assume its full form. So Ram then fuses with her, a la Magical Girls, and creates, gender swap Terry Bogard from Fatal Fury. And while she's fighting them, the other magical beings free the slaves from his control. But Goda is just too strong, able to block any of her attacks with ease, who then uppercuts her with his dick. That is definitely a new one for this list. He plans to use the machine to create more seeds, to prevent them from ever being stopped again. So she sees an opportunity, starts chucking rocks at him, which he just brushes aside, but realizes too late that he's aiming for the device behind him, which distracts him long enough for her to plant one clear shot and fist him right through his chest and grabs his sack, crushing it in her hands.
Please stop saying it like that.
Never. Ram then uses power to remove the seed from her sister, and then sacrifices himself to create a new tree to seal it away. The director is supposedly killed by the roots, but in an after-credits sequence is shown to still be alive, and I guess is ready to start over. So then we're off to number 2, and we join Haruka and her friend Reiko, and they meet this film's antagonist, who looks a lot like Goda, but is someone else entirely named Shimazuki, and is working on a mutated plant species. Is this connected somehow to the Dark Element? Maybe a more stable form of it? Heck if I know. I don't think they actually reference it once in this thing. But it does behave with similar properties, subsisting off a female essence, and the ability to make slaves out of their victims. After which it starts to grow, and then fires off seeds, infecting the professor, basically turning him into a walking skin suit, a la Five Nights at Freddy's. And then it kinda repeats from the first one. Girls find out, they try to stop him, but end up getting captured, and converted as well. He then assumes his final form, and then a friend of theirs, Kazuya, throws a combination that they made in science class, a variation of a weed killer, more or less. Which seems to work at first, but it doesn't fully kill the professor, since he's part human. So they end up tossing him off a roof, and gets impaled on a sculpture out front. He's still alive and tries to pull himself off, but without the healing factor from the plant side, he melts in the process. And again we get another after-credit sequence, which I'm sure they'll forget about just like the last time. So now on to movie 3. And we find a girl, Harumi, in an abandoned part of the school, playing with herself, thinking of her senpai, and seeing a black orb, touching it, which turns out to be a seed from the plant. And then we see its consciousness using the form of the professor from last time. And we learn that this is the exact same place as last time. They even reused the same intro and background characters. You thought you could slip that by me, but no. Shame on you. Anyway, our girl gets assaulted by some other girls wanting her senpai. So after that, she agrees to the professor's terms, and uses her essence to regenerate his body. Or, more or less the ability to project his body. And then she leads the other girls into a trap, and finally takes her revenge. Kind of an interesting take on the story, siding with our villain this time. Well, more or less. While she's doing this, our guy leaves, and finds our token female staff member, who turns out to be a nurse, and then changes into the form of our girl. Well, since he's just a projection. Which then leads to a lesbian scene. Well, I mean, a scene of a woman and a plant monster pretending to be a man, and then pretending to be a schoolgirl. What the heck do you even call that?
Effing confusing.
Fairly accurate. Anyway, cut back to our real girl, and she takes the camera from them and throws it against one of the walls. But it hits the orb, which then hurts our projection. She then gets power hungry, working through her list of people who hurt her. But then finds out that he plans to use her senpai's body as well as hers to fully resurrect. So our nurse wakes up, finds her girl's pendant, and goes looking for her, who's now almost fully absorbed by him. She then throws it at the orb after she told it that it hurt him, and then goes over and breaks his blue balls. All's well, our two girls hook up, And again, we get another after credits scene that she's still a bit possessed from that questionable scene of earlier. But she seems to be in complete control over it. And finally on to the fourth movie, which actually ties it all together. It's still the same school, but this time they actually make new backgrounds for it. And our nurse is treating an injury from her coach, who decides to try and take advantage of her. But we pan over to her desk, and we see the plant from the end of the second movie. And after a while, she uses her power that she got from the end of the last one, and turns him into a slave. Then we flash to our girl from the second movie, who's now a teacher, finding her way back to where it all began. Well, I mean not really, as it seems like the first movie isn't really canon to any of this. Or, then again, maybe it is, but it's still rather confusing. And we've all seen this song and dance before. They slowly grow an army, and we get more odd, weird transformations. I mean, what the heck? Our girl uses her hair powers to bayonetta herself a pair of wangs. But anyway, back to the plot. Returning to our protagonist, who accidentally hurts herself and then goes to the nurse, but then recognizes the plant, running back to her lab and tries to reconstruct the compound that killed it last time. This one does reuse some footage from number 2, but mostly to catch up on explanation. So she tries again to kill it, but just like last time, she gets beaten easily. We then learn about why her nurse turned to the dark side. Our girl at the end of 3 got isekai'd, and the power that she gave her turned into a seed that became our plant. So the after credit sequences are true, just a bit out of order, as the second one actually takes place after 3. Everything goes according to our girl's plan, but it seems that her powers are a bit stretched thin, as the coach refuses an order to let the plants take her. So he fights back by burning it, which causes a chain reaction, losing control over the other subjects. So she makes him pay for his actions. And while the two fight, she manages to hit the plants with the compound, and the other two fatally injure themselves, and everything burns down. But they do miss a single seed. But I don't think there's actually a 5th movie in this series. Well, they did make a live-action version of this in 2006, and there's also another one from the same time period called Inju Onna Kuyoshu, or The School of Darkness, which was done by the same company and right after Angel of Darkness, so it might be related. But they'll have to wait for another time. But anyway, we've gone off long enough for today, so it's time to end this video with a look at our manga by artist Shinmu. And sadly, we are finally down to his last one, which does have 10 chapters, so we'll still be going at this for a while, until it's eventually finished. But anyway, let's look at chapter 1 of A Classroom Bereft of Angels. And it starts off with a girl named Amane, someone who's better than everyone else, but never flaunted it. She was smarter, faster, and talented in a lot of things, but she also helped those who needed it. They say that she was the closest human who could ever be considered as a god. But in the end, the time came that she was no longer with them, and all of her classmates held a wake for their beloved leader. They all said their goodbyes, and how she helped them shape their lives, and how much they wanted to improve themselves to live up to their view of her. Well, all except for 2 of them. As the pages peel back, cracks in her perfect image start to show. Was she truly the saint among men? Or was she just something that the others convinced themselves couldn't be so? As we see marks on some of their wrists and thighs, and the chapter ends with someone revealing that she was murdered. We might have to do multiple chapters next time, but we covered 4 animes this time, so we'll have to end this for today. So I look forward to more tales from this artist, who's quickly becoming my favorite modern author. And that about does it for this video. If you have any other ideas like seeing me into a video, then please post it down in the comments below, and we'll add it to our next viewer request week.
It's now time for the part of the show where we ask you to help us appease the YouTube algorithm by dropping a like, share, or comment. It helps out much more than you'd think.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, then it's very much appreciated. And if you'd like to support this channel, then please visit our Patreon. Link will be down in the description below. Even if you can't give a lot, every little bit helps. Oh, we also started up a Let's Play channel. So if you want to see us try out some horror games, then feel free to stop on by. Link will be in the card as well as in the description. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. Anyway, I'm Runya.
And I'm Ada.
Remind you to take life in moderation.
Weep not for children, for life is is this way, murdering beauty and passion. Hush now, dear children, it must be this way, to weary of life and